So
I think it mostly comes down to like what you thought of the opening match.
yeah, we should start there where they did. So like the first 60 minutes of the show dedicated to Will Ospreay and MJF. And I didn't love this match. I thought there was so much in it, like because I like me and James were watching it in real time,
Mm-hmm.
talking about it, and I was kind of like saying some of the things I wasn't like digging necessarily about the match.
You felt like they were padding time from my vantage point. It felt like you thought they were padding time just to get to 60.
I,
And
I
I don't disagree with you.
like I thought there was that, but I thought they were passing the peak almost over and over again. They
Mm.
were doing things like I felt like they
I
were
do think it
doing
was like
things
roller
that
coaster. Like this is the peak goes down, and then get a higher peak go down, higher. And it kept finding higher peaks, so you felt like they should have cut it off at a certain point.
I feel like we didn't need to go anything past 35. If you wanted to open it with a 35
I
minute
mean,
match there, I thought
fundamentally,
that would
yeah.
have been perfect for them. And then they just kept going, and I was like, we've seen everything. Like that's why I was like, all right. There's like I started thinking about all the other wrestlers on the show. Right, I started
Mm-hmm.
thinking about who pushed for this match to be 60 minutes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I heard some some stuff, and I was like, yeah, I really don't feel my initial thought on this was like, all right, if we're blocking an hour off, there are a lot of people that are not going to get booked this week or not have a chance to like push things forward this week. And
Mm-hmm.
with MJF and Ospreay, physically, I will not take away from what they did as far as the athleticism it took, and some of the stuff they did was just flat incredible. But
Mm-hmm.
there were huge psychology gaps in a lot of this stuff, and then there was like, I felt like it just. I felt like they were trying on the clothes, like there was like a checklist that they were going around on, and it was like this MJF apology tour where it's like, yeah, I need to try to have my match of the year candidate or whatever with Will Ospreay, like, and
Mm-hmm.
it just felt rather unnatural. Like, and you think of you think of ROPW, right? And it's just like you think of Sugar Rush, like fast paced flips, stuff like that. But like
Mm-hmm.
the key to that, why I like that stuff is like seeing it timed up correctly, seeing it peaking with the crowd, seeing like the crowd like get to this point and then just like explode like that, and they know kind of like, oh, damn, we took a journey, but it was just like for me, it just like didn't feel organic enough, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like I thought it was like a lot of stuff they were doing would ultimately mean nothing minutes later, and then all of
Yeah.
it to boil down to the MJF ring finish. I
Yep.
was damn near insulted when by the time
Yeah.
the match finished.
I docked it because of the finish, but I also docked the Iron Man match he had with Danielson, or MJF had with Danielson when that happened too. Because like enough with the fucking ring and finding easy way out. Like I understand, look, I get it, you're a heel, but Jesus Christ, if you're gonna do that, go half the time. Well, not an Iron Man match because they had to go an hour. But you get my point. Like you don't go to overtime after going an hour and then give me a fuck finish and get out of it.
I was befuddled when people were like, "Yo, this is the greatest match in AEW Dynamite history."
No,
Dave Meltzer gives it
no.
5.75 stars, and I'm like,
I
"Huh?" Like
I,
I thought
remember I told you Meltzer was going to go up for it.
bro,
I thought he was going to give it 5.5
bro,
because
I was
give him at the Meltzer over 5 standards. I thought he was going to give it 5.5. I didn't know he was going to go that high, but
yeah, like I was like, I thought Danielson and Hangman, that 60-minute match they did, smoked this, and it felt like the time went by. You know, by that time, like it felt natural. It felt like ultimately you were going up a roller coaster and it just peaked at the end or whatever. This one was just like, yo, we could have done a finish. Why the fuck did they brawl for 3 minutes out there? Why the fuck did he beat up his legs, for X amount of time, and then Ospreay just starts doing the Kawada kicks and shit like that? Like, in my book, I actually like that Ospreay said, "Fuck that leg work. I'm fucking we ball." Like that works as a positive for me. Most people would consider that a negative.
I didn't because they do that leg damage for forever. Then he goes up and does all the arm stuff or does all the stuff he does in a match, and it's like, okay, he shook that off, whatever. He recovered because MJF never went back to his leg, and there was another opportunity for MJF to go back to his leg. Fine, he was able to recover or whatever. And like he didn't. My problem was is his right knee that's the problem, and the MJF kept forgetting which leg was the right leg to work on. over and over as far as his attempts on pain. And then after that, then they got him and started wrestling. Okay, he's recovered. That's fine. But then later when they start working on Ospreay's shoulder, and Ospreay's shoulder work is actually the incredible selling part and the thought that went into the counters and how he had to do that one arm handspring and all that kind of stuff. I was like, so why do you do this so shitty and then you're going to go to this and do it better? Just do the shoulder better, because obviously it's really hard to see somebody as explosive as Ospreay have to be off tilt for a certain amount of time selling legs, and they have to go right into doing all the shit. So that was my problem with it. And then the thing that I saw, people were complaining that I saw they hated this match. They hated the shoulder work. I was like, no, mention the leg stuff. The leg stuff was the part that was shitty, not the shoulder part. You missing commercial break that he got his shoulder popped back in the socket. He's good then. When people get their shit popped out in the socket and they continue to play football all the time. Mm-hmm. That's a thing. Right, so that wasn't my problem.
And then there's the Will Ospreay crisis of faith, like with doing
that's the part of
thing.
That's the reason. That's a big. I docked it more for that than I did for the ring, because it all played together. Where it's like, I don't know if I can still hit this move, and it's like, bro, you can't. You have to save that melodrama for the next time you get a shot at the title, because that will cost you the title. You're not going to be. You can't continue to be a dumbass in every big high-profile match when it comes to this Tiger drama. You just lost the title because of it, and then he does it. I'm docking it. Then the ring came out. Oh, I'm definitely docking this. So I had this at 5 up until the melodrama, and then the fuck finish at the end. I gave it 4 3/4.
The thing with his Tiger driver thing, and I think a lot of people are not thinking about this. This is his out to lose these matches. Like, this is almost like when he...
And I already hate it. That's my point.
And if it wasn't this, it would be something else. Like, as far as, like, whatever it is.
And when you're going to lose because you get hit in the face with a ring, you don't need 2 outs. You only need 1.
And then you think about the guy that he got spooked from doing this. Like, somebody needs to walk Will Ospreay up to Bryan Danielson and be like, he's okay. It's fine. He's main eventing.
He won a tournament and he's going to the main event.
He's main eventing Wembley Stadium and like next month. It's fine, Will. It's okay. You can use the move, you know.
That's why it did it. Look, it had the point of being useful up until the swerve match, and then he should have never done it again, because Danielson, we've seen that Danielson is now, he's not in a wheelchair.
Right.
Drew out of his mouth.
Like, if they were gonna roll Bryan Danielson around, treat him like a cripple, and be like, "Yo, this is really," they didn't sell it.
If they had made him a tag wrestler, then yes, Ospreay could continue doing this. But but you already knew he was going to the main event of the biggest show of the year in the company. So therefore, you don't need to have second thoughts about this or whatever else. You need to just not. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying you need to save it for a critical moment. And the moment needs to be, you get your next title shot. You don't do it. You get put behind the 8 ball, and then you come back, and then you finally hit it, and then you win.
I thought it was excess upon excess, and it was just too much. Like, and it was like, and I love matches that have too much, but it's like something about this just didn't feel right as I was watching it.
I agree with you when it comes to the Valley thing of the stop and the start, and that came down to stamina. And like, okay, so I think when you made your comparison. You compared it to the Danielson and Hangman match that went to the draw. The reason why I like this match so much is because I was comparing it to Danielson or Hangman. I was comparing it to MJF versus in another match he had that went an hour. Mm-hmm. I compared it to the Danielson match. Now, I think the first half hour of that match, you can just skip it. And then you watch the last half hour in overtime, and it's incredible. Mm-hmm. And for me, for a match that went 65, 70 minutes, if the first half hour of it is not worth watching, then on a rewatch, I'm just from a rewatch perspective, I'm like, no thanks. But watching this match, and I'm watching, like, I'm watching how I go in the ebbs and flows of it. I'm like, okay, to me, it's apparent. I thought they were going to the time limit draw to get out of it. They went just short of it by a few seconds or whatever else. So they basically went to the time limit, right? So I was locked in for the 60 minutes. I thought this held my interest for the 60 minutes throughout the duration of all 60 minutes better than that Iron Man match, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's what I was comparing it to. So I thought for MJF to go another hour long match, I thought this was the better of the hour long match for the duration of all 60 minutes of it. So for me, I that's why I liked it so much. But I'm with you. I was loving this match. Rich, you can attest. I was loving this match, and then it was that finish. I was like, I'm docking it. Sorry.
And I think, if you're gonna do the big 60-minute match with Will Ospreay, right, and MJF, right, you need to make sure that it almost has a reason to go 60. It just went 60 minutes on a whim. Like,
maybe it was do you think it was a ratings play?
Absolutely. And it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. But
yeah.
Going into, if it's like,
didn't the Danielson and Hangman match do the same thing where like it held the rating?
Yeah. And then I think, like in my perspective, it was like, this could have been built up as like, I challenge you to like, like you don't have more stamina than me. You don't have like you build this up to it makes sense that you go 60 or whatever. You just do 60 like this. I think it just kind of exposes everything else on the show. It's like, why the fuck why did it take you 60 minutes to like be in there with MJF almost? And then like it's just to me it wasn't a time or place.
Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by that, because MJF is a shit heel.
Yeah, it's like all right, like you like Ospreay's like you faced Bryan Danielson on pay-per-view the other month. You beat him in 35 minutes or whatever the fuck they did. Kanosuke Takeshita, same thing. You were in there for a half hour with Swerve, 27 minutes with Swerve. Pay-per-view main event. And then it just artificially just jumps to 60 without any rhyme or reason. It's like, did you just meet your match? And why? And if you did, this could have been, I think, highlighted that it was going to be this even match going into it. Like, not to where people even necessarily expected they would go 60, but it was like, there feels like there's been a proper build-up for this.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm on two minds. Like, I get where you're going with that, but MJF was champion for a year. So I mean, it's not like they're not presented as two. It's not like they're not both considered main eventers in AEW. But I get what you're saying. Is like, if you're going to go an hour, maybe promote it more beforehand instead of going into it after basically like, I mean, that was a killer angle they did, but like they basically did it in 1 week when it's like, that really should have been a match that was on All In, and then like, and not go an hour at All In, but like go for a certain amount of time, do it in half the time or whatever else, have your match, and then like go meet each other again, and then do your hour-long draw or something like that. Yeah. I'm like fundamentally speaking, I'm against pretty much anybody going more than 30 minutes. You know that. I've said that for years. Like, unless you're Okada and Omega, you don't need to be going that long. Like, nothing is, very few things are actually that good to go past a half hour of pro wrestling match as singles match. So I thought this match for the length it went, like, did very well achieving the goal of like having to go against those kind of not constraints, but that kind of work, that kind of hurdle or hill they have to climb. That's why I was impressed with it. But yeah, ultimately, just a lot of the things you have issues with, I agree with you. I just don't agree with it as much as you are, to where it's like, hey, this shit like felt like it was hanging out there for a minute. Like, I see the points why they were stopping, but like in my mind, I was like, okay, because I know they're going an hour. Like, if you're someone who's watching, maybe that bothers you more. But like, I peeked it quick. I peeked it quick. And I remember I peeked it quick when it came to with Danielson. Like, most of these draws in AEW, because of how the pacing of most matches are, insane for Stardom. Like, when the pacing's off just a little bit, it's like, oh, they're going to time limit draw. I just know this. It's just the thing of being a jaded wrestling fan. But at least I made the best of it and enjoyed the hell out of that match.
Yeah, so Max wins the international title. He is getting booked for CMLL, so God help us all, MJ.
I do like the part where, like, similar to the Danielson Iron match, where he's selling the water bottle in the exhaustion of going through the match. Like, he did that at the end of, or towards the end of the Ospreay match, and then at the end he has the oxygen thing to breathe, and then like he does the promo for CMLL and he's in the cold tub. I do like the part where like he's talking cash shit. Like, he's saying one thing, but his body and physically he's doing another, and his actions saying another. Like, he was out here getting his ass worn out by Ospreay, And like as you can see, like that man said, I'm the smartest person pro wrestling, and he hit that man with that fucking
That was a great spot.
with that hidden blade through the ropes, bro. I think it's my favorite hidden blade of all time. That shit, that camera angle was fantastic. Oh, I love this so much. It it was so satisfying to see this smug prick. That's one of the smartest pro wrestlers in a bow. Just took his head off. Awesome.
Yeah, Sheamus Nova says, Saw dude's mad that since it was Dynamite 250, the time should have gone to others. You can count me among them. This should have gone like a half hour.
Don't disagree.
Yeah,
at all.
You know, I was like, I think you could have got more of the roster on the show.
Also, Rich, did you know what the time limit was for international title matches?
I did not.
Neither did I. If they had told you 30, would you have known the difference?
No.
Because isn't the TNT title like 20 minutes or 30 minutes? Or no, I'm sorry, because I'm confusing with non-title matches. Like the Cody and Darby first match that went to a 20-minute time limit draw.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be like the world title is the only title, and the women's title only title that can go to a whole hour draw. Everything else should be a half hour. The starter move. So you can actually do this and actually make more use of your time. Like there's no need for every single one of these belts to have hour-long time limit draws. None.
Yeah. So he's going to CMLL. God help us if he does some racist shit and like and xenophobic shit in an election year. So
bro,
good luck.
Bro, that man finna go over there and say all types of crazy shit about Atlantis Jr.